Hi, everyone, and thank you for attending this mini unit on AI usage. So I believe you'll find this tutorial to be extremely helpful, especially in the time in which we live, where AI is very new and there's a lot of questions about ethical use, what to do and not do, things like that. And so I created this as sort of a guide for you so that you have better understanding of how to use AI if you want to use it and what that should look like within the college setting. So let's get started. First of all, what's the need for this, right? Well, AI is already here. We're using it as Netflix recommendations. When you do a Google search now, you're getting this AI overview. And AI isn't science fiction. It's not something that we dreamed up in the past, right? We used to create these movies about what we thought 2050 was going to look like and things like that. Well, we're here now. This is what it looks like. And so we need to understand how to navigate it. Excuse me. So, in the college classroom, all students will need AI literacy and they will need to be able to use AI as a partner and collaborator. So, it is the wave of the future, like it or not. And for my classes, you do have in some of my classes, not in all of them, you'll come across some assignments that direct you to use AI for certain things. Now, if you have a ethical dilemma, you really don't want to use AI, just shoot me a message and say, hey, this is not really my thing. I don't want to. And that's totally fine. I'll give you an alternate method. I mean, you can basically just do the assignment without those other portions, and we can work with that. But for those who would like to learn how to use it, this is intended for you, especially for those who are already using it, because I think there's just a lot of things that are not well known, and so this is designed to help you with that. So, in essence, there's a book that's out called Teaching with AI, and the authors argue that graduates, our future graduates in the next few years and beyond, are going to have to understand how AI works, recognize its capabilities and its limitations, and interact with it thoughtfully. And so, this includes aspects of human effort. So, that goes way beyond just plugging in your instructor's prompt and using that as your answer or getting ideas for your answer. There's, and you'll see, especially when I get to the tutorial video, human effort is essential so that AI becomes a tool for you rather than a crutch. And so here's the book, Teaching with AI. Here are a couple quotes. They say that all students should be expected to surpass the quality of AI generated content. Rather than banning AI, we should just ban C-level work because that's what AI pretty much produces. Especially if all you do is plug in the prompt and that's as far as you go, which, again, I'll show you in the tutorial video. You've got to ask AI good questions, keep the conversation going, recognize sources. Where is AI getting this information from? You should ask AI those kind of questions. They go on to say that if our graduates are going to be employable, that they need skills beyond the new AI average. This creates a, quote, training paradox. How do you become an expert senior lawyer, still better than AI, if internship work, which can be done by AI, goes away? And so what does that essentially mean? Well, it's a major challenge. If AI handles basic tasks, then how do students gain the foundational practice that they need to become experts, right? You're basically giving up your own personal knowledge. You may get that piece of paper that says you have the degree, that you're able to do the work at the end of the course, at the end of your degree completion program. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have the skill. There's a big difference. And you're cheating yourself out of that skill if you cheat your way through college. So AI literacy is a core competency. All students will need AI literacy. They will need to be able to use AI as a partner and collaborator. Students must recognize that AI cannot effectively evaluate course material. And you know why? Because it hasn't taken the course. The result that you get when you plug in a question is a vague reference to topics that are generally present in the text, but there's typically nothing that makes specific reference to all the sources and content unless you go through and plug every source, every assignment, every aspect of that course. You would have to plug it all into AI, which would take you an ungodly amount of time, right? The point of using AI is to make it more efficient and faster. And so that's just not even feasible to do that. So, you're not going to get something tailored for the course that you're taking. You're just going to get a vague reference. And again, when I use the sample, and I'll show you on the screen what this looks like in real time, you'll see what I'm talking about. That I asked AI specific questions for a research outline, and it gave me a very broad, vague answer. But then I know what I put in my class, and some of the content that should have been in there wasn't there because it didn't know what we'd read. So that brings us to the question, okay, what is an LLM, a large language model? So this is a type of artificial intelligence that's designed to understand and generate human language, right? It's trained on a massive amount of text from books, websites, articles, other things. It learns patterns. It's really great at patterns. It knows grammar, it knows facts, and it can carry on a conversation with you. Think of an LLM as a super powered text predictor. It doesn't know how to think the way that humans do, but it's really good at guessing what words or ideas are going to come next based on everything that it's seen through its training. How is it built? Well, it's almost like a brain. It's like an artificial brain. It's called a neural network, mimics how our brains process information. It uses probability to generate responses. And so if you start a sentence like the French Revolution was, and you let it finish that, it's going to predict what might be said next. And it can create something very logical, very cohesive, and a lot of times even historically accurate, but though not always. And a lot of times, history is based on perspectives. And so this is where it gets a little bit convoluted is, you're getting one perspective and, it may base, again, ask AI where it gets its information. It may be basing it off a couple of historians. It may be basing it off Wikipedia, whatever. And then you're missing out on all the other perspectives in order to help you understand, which is another important aspect of prompting, right? You need to ask AI for all perspectives on this topic, not just one. And so AI doesn't think or understand the way that people do. Rather, it creates outputs based on patterns rather than meaning. Okay, so what can it actually do for you as a college student? That's why you're watching this video, right? So write essays, emails, stories. It can answer questions, summarize articles, translate languages. It can help you brainstorm, explain concepts, and other things, especially when prompted well. What it can't do, well, it doesn't have consciousness. It's not really alive, so to speak. It can make things up, and that there's a technical term for that called hallucinating. It doesn't always know if its answers are right, and it doesn't have live access to the internet, believe it or not. That one might surprise you. It has to be connected to tools that do. So prompting is extremely important. Learning to ask AI good questions is a superpower for students. As one expert puts it, students are going to have to know what they're talking about. They're going to have to ask AI questions, and they're going to have to be very specific. Plugging in your instructor's prompt is not going to cut it. And I'm going to go into this in a much deeper way in future videos. So you need to craft good prompts. It's not technical drudgery. It's an exercise in thinking. This is where your human effort comes in. It requires you to clarify your goals, your context, your expectations. What do you really want from this assignment? What are you looking for? What sources? What is your perspective on this topic? Sometimes when I'm playing around with it just to see what it'll do, sometimes I'll specifically ask it for a conservative perspective or a more liberal perspective just to kind of see what it says. And then you figure out which one do you agree with. And that's essential. It requires you to clarify your goals, context, and expectations, just like you would do before writing a strong essay or solving a problem. Better prompts equal better outputs. So, higher quality prompt engineering skills predict the quality of LLM output. So, in other words, prompt well, and AI becomes a powerful collaborator. Prompt poorly, and you'll get vague information or misleading results. So, in sum, learning to ask AI good questions teaches you to do the following things: think clearly about what you really want from your assignment. Right? What do you want this finished product to look like? Frame prompts with detail, context, and purpose. Evaluate and refine AI responses critically, and collaborate with AI rather than just taking its output at face value. So that concludes part one of this series. I appreciate you watching. You may now move on to part two.